Hello there, and welcome to the show. And today I'm going to be talking about Spider Man Brand New Day. Spider Man Brand New Day was released on July 31st, 2026. This is the fourth Tom Holland Spider Man movie, as well as the seventh overall project in Phase 6 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as well as my most anticipated movie of 2026. I loved Tom Holland's Spider-Man trilogy, Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home. I think those three movies are great. I am a big fan of Tom Holland's portrayal of Spider-Man. I think as far as live-action Spider-Man goes, he is the best live-action Spider-Man and Peter Parker. And I really enjoyed the three movies that he was a part of, and with the way No Way Home ended, I was really interested to see where they would take Spider-Man from that movie. This movie was directed by Dennis Daniel Cretton, who directed Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This movie was written by Chris McKenna and Eric Summers, who wrote the three previous Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. This movie is set 4 years after the events of No Way Home. The entire world forgot about Peter Parker, and Spider-Man has to deal with a new threat. That is the basic premise of this movie. The trailers of this movie didn't really tell us what the plot of this movie was gonna be, and I am going to be talking about the plot of this movie, so if you haven't seen this movie, I will be talking about the plot. Watching the trailers of this movie, there was one line when Spider-Man was battling Scorpion, and Scorpion says, "You think I'm Scorpion?" And that right there told me that Scorpion was being mind-controlled, either through technology or by a telepath. So I was thinking to myself, okay, Spider-Man versus a telepath. Interesting concept, we haven't seen it before, so this movie should be pretty interesting. I loved this movie. I thought this was a great film. This was a great Spider-Man movie that told an incredible story, and easily, by far and away, the best movie that I've watched so far in 2026. I thought Brand New Day was an excellent film. Firstly, I love how this film opened. This film picked up immediately after the events of No Way Home, and the opening sequence of the movie is a montage of the 4 years between No Way Home and the start of Brand New Day. And I love the way they presented the 4 years between No Way Home and Brand New Day. And there is a great line at the start of the opening sequence where Peter Parker says, "Sometimes Spider-Man has to do the hard thing even if it breaks Peter Parker's heart." I thought that was a great line, and it really perfectly captures what Spider-Man is. And that reminded me of two great Spider-Man lines. The first one being from Across the Spider-Verse, where I believe it was Miguel O'Hara who said, "Being Spider-Man is a sacrifice." And the other line from The Spectacular Spider-Man, a line from Green Goblin, "We all wear masks, Spider-Man, but which one is real? The one that hides your face or the one that is your face?" And in the 4 years between No Way Home and Brand New Day, it demonstrates that in these 4 years, Spider-Man has been the main focus while Peter Parker has taken a back seat. He doesn't really have much of a social life or friends. Spider-Man has been the main focus while Peter Parker has essentially disappeared. And I really like how the movie presented that, and that was the perfect way to start the movie in my opinion. In addition to that, the only person Spider-Man regularly communicates with is a police detective, and again, that's as Spider-Man, not as Peter Parker. And it reminds me a little bit of Batman, where Batman is the real person and Bruce Wayne is the secret identity. That's kind of what this reminded me of. Also, that opening montage is great. It referenced some iconic comic book moments. We got to see some pretty cool cameos. Scorpion, Tombstone, great to see Tombstone finally in a movie. I was a big fan of Tombstone, especially in The Spectacular Spider-Man, and I was really hoping we would see Tombstone in a live-action movie someday, and we finally got to see it. So that entire opening sequence was great. It was fun, it was entertaining, it was very well done, and from a storytelling perspective, it was great. The best part of this movie, no question, the story and Tom Holland as Peter Parker slash Spider-Man. Tom Holland, to me, is the best Peter Parker and the best Spider-Man. I thought Tobey Maguire was a pretty good Peter Parker, but not the best Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield, I thought, was a great Spider-Man, but not the best Peter Parker. To me, Tom Holland is the best Peter Parker, and the best Spider-Man. The way he plays this character is phenomenal, and the story he goes through in this movie, it is a relatable and compelling story that I was fully invested in, and I like the way this movie presented the storyline of his emotional state affecting his powers, similar to Spider-Man the animated series from the 90s, where his emotional state was affecting his powers, and they even showed that in the trailers. And the moment where he gets organic webs, that moment is done pretty well. That led to some funny moments. And in this new state, he battles Scorpion, and I thought that second battle against Scorpion was very good. I really enjoyed that fight scene. I was interested to see if they would do the Man-Spider storyline from the animated series. However, they didn't do that. And while initially I thought they would go with the Man-Spider storyline, I'm glad that they didn't, because the story of this movie was very grounded, so it didn't need Man-Spider. I felt like if Man-Spider was in this movie, it would take away from the story. Also, given Marvel's recent terrible CGI, such as MODOK, if they are gonna do Man-Spider, I want it to look like Man-Spider instead of looking like absolute garbage. So I'm glad that they didn't do Man-Spider. Also, they took some inspiration from Spider-Man 2, which I thought was very well done. Also, the way Peter uses technology to control his powers, I thought that was done very well. The second best part of this movie, in my opinion, the Punisher. I was honestly expecting Punisher to have one scene in this movie and that would be it, but he is in this movie a lot longer than I thought he would be. Punisher is effectively the secondary protagonist of this film, and he is great. Jon Bernthal as Punisher is excellent. He portrays that character very well. He is perfect as Frank Castle. From his first appearance with Battle Van in the chase scene, I thought that was incredible, and his back and forth with Spider-Man throughout the movie was great. The banter led to some funny moments. Some of the funniest lines in the movie, in my opinion, are from Punisher, and the back and forth with Spider-Man was excellent, and it led to some of the movie's best moments, in my opinion, with Punisher. So I really liked Punisher in this movie. Also, I really liked how they followed up on the storyline with MJ and Ned. They are in this movie, but they are not the main focus in this movie. Ned is very much a supporting character in this movie. He doesn't have a real impact on the plot. With MJ, there are two scenes with MJ that are incredible. The first one is on a rooftop where she is possessed by the telepath, and she has a conversation with Spider-Man, which led to one of the film's most heartbreaking moments. And the other one where she finds out that Spider-Man is Peter, and I thought that scene was done very well, and the acting from both Tom Holland and Zendaya was great. Those two scenes were two of the best scenes of the movie, in my opinion. Another character that I thought was presented very well was the Hulk. This movie, to me, had the best presentation of the Hulk since Thor Ragnarok. The way Hulk is presented in this movie was excellent. It led to one of the film's best action sequences with Spider-Man and Punisher taking on the Hulk. So I thought this movie had the Hulk's best presentation in years, and in my opinion, definitely redeemed him from the abomination that was the She-Hulk series. I mentioned at the start of this review that watching the trailers, it didn't really give us a lot of information about what the plot of this movie was going to be, but that one line from Scorpion, that let me know that he was being mind controlled. It was indeed by a telepath, and I think everyone more or less predicted this, but it was in fact Jean Grey, portrayed by Sadie Sink. Jean Grey is the main antagonist of this movie, and it makes sense. Adamantium was introduced in the MCU timeline. Also, there was a line in Spider-Man No Way Home from Norman Osborn where he stated that Oscorp doesn't exist. And when I first heard that, I was thinking to myself, okay, Oscorp might not exist, but Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn could exist in the main MCU timeline, but different versions of those characters. And I was thinking to myself, okay, if different versions of Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn could exist, it would make sense for different versions of the X-Men to also exist in this MCU. And like I mentioned, everyone more or less predicted that Sadie Sink was gonna be Jean Grey, and she was in fact Jean Grey, and I thought her portrayal of Jean Grey as well as the storyline she was given were both great. Sadie Sink did an excellent job portraying Jean Grey. She's after revenge, looking for her sister. She was taken by the Department of Damage Control, so Jean Grey wants her sister back and she wants revenge against the people who took her sister. Her backstory was done very well. It showed her sister explaining how their powers work, and Jean Grey doesn't have the full use of her powers yet. She can only possess people within a certain range, and the way that came into play during the action sequences was done very well. The final battle against Spider-Man where she's possessing the hand, I thought was done very well. The moment where she unlocks her full powers, learning what happened to her sister, that was one of the film's most heartbreaking scenes, and it was done very well, and her acting was great. The way that entire scene played out was excellent. It is one of the film's best scenes, in my opinion, where she unlocks her full powers. Also, when she's possessing MJ and she reveals that she's possessing MJ and the conversation she has with Spider-Man, I thought that was done very well, and it goes to show she might be the villain of this movie. However, the motivation and the way Spider-Man defeats her, I thought that was done very well. This movie has moments of heart. It was emotionally compelling. It had a story that I was fully invested in. The comedy was great. The action sequences were great. I really enjoyed this movie. This is easily the best movie that I've watched so far in 2026. Spider-Man is one of my favorite superheroes ever. He is my favorite Marvel character, and I thought this was a great film. In fact, Brand New Day and No Way Home are my two favorite live-action Spider-Man movies. I thought this was an excellent film. The only criticisms I have regarding this movie are, I wish it did something to set up Doomsday, which the end credits scene technically did that. However, I don't think it was worth staying for 10 minutes for that end credit scene. Also, I do wish they followed up on the Venom symbiote from No Way Home, because I thought with the way No Way Home ended, that would have been a perfect opportunity to introduce the Venom symbiote storyline. However, they didn't do that, and honestly, with the way this movie played out, it didn't really need the Venom symbiote because the storyline we got was excellent. This was a great film, and for a movie that has a runtime of 2 hours and 25 minutes, I was fully invested that entire time. This was an excellent film. I loved this film. This was an awesome movie. And that is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You can follow me on Instagram at Said_2000, and I will see you on the next video. Till then, take care.